Hey, we are here with Gamebound, a little series where we play various one-shots and short series of games that we haven't done a full campaign of. And today we're going to be playing the game Blades in the Dark, which I've been kind of obsessing about for a little while now. It is very fun. It's tangentially based off of Powered by the Apocalypse stuff, but it definitely its own kind of beast, but that's kind of where it originated. And I'm excited to play scoundrels in a clock punk city. So the original setting of this game is like kind of like a weird ghosty steampunk sort of thing. But when I was thinking of playing the game, I was thinking about like, okay, well, what kind of thing would we want to do if we were going to play? I think initially I was thinking the Tuesday group, at some point doing something. And we did actually just do a one shot in Wisconsin when I was there visiting. In this, but I was thinking, what kind of twist would I want to have on it? And then I remembered that I wrote a little novella set in a setting where clockwork automatons are a thing. There is a giant clockwork city that is, I'm sure, rife for scoundreling and various criminal activities. And I knew that there was magic drugs, and that seemed to fit too. So it all just kind of came together. And here we are playing
magic drugs.
Yeah, playing Blades in the Dark in the world of Orlum. So kind of touchstones for the vibe of this is going to be like 19th century America. Except probably like this is like would be considered the East Coast. So some sort of city like New York or Boston in the 19th century.
Austin.
Except clockwork technology is how everything is run. So, and the technology, like, when we actually think of clocks and gears and things, the amount of energy it requires to run something like a train, clockwork technology can't, like in our actual world, can't accomplish that. But for whatever reason, there's some sort of secret that the people who make the clockwork technology probably know, but you as normal people would not. That makes the clockwork technology actually work, right? You just wind stuff up and somehow it generates enough power to run trains and things. So there's also clockwork automatons, which are basically literally like sentient robots. They have some form of sentience at least. You probably haven't ever heard one talk, but they have minds and can think and things. And you're in a big old city. I'll probably actually for the stream and to remind you guys, I might just read off the thing I wrote again, real quick. So maybe not all of it, but so in this setting, there was once a continent ruled by a vast empire powered by this arcane technology known as clockwork. They conquered many peoples and unified them one way or another using this technology, the most important of which was the clockwork automatons that were their soldiers, police, and more. About 200 years ago, this empire fell due to the arrival of a horrible monster or force known as the Beast. It's very unclear what the Beast actually was. All sorts of myth is surrounding it. The survivors of this invasion and cataclysm fled to the west of the continent and, led by remnants of the great imperial military, took ships to cross the as yet unexplored Western Ocean. So kind of like crossing from Europe to America. They brought with them many people from all walks of life, both imperial citizens and once conquered peoples, unified in their common purpose of escape and survival from the Beast. They made it across the ocean and discovered a previously unknown continent populated by strange natives who worshipped animal gods and used strange substances. Magic drugs. 50 years after the Beast appeared.
Drugs.
Yeah. 50 years after the Beast appeared, and 150 years before our present time, they founded the city of New Clarion, using the remaining clockwork technology they had brought with them from their old home, and began rebuilding civilization. Still led by the old imperial military hierarchy, now known as the Law, the people of New Clarion licked their wounds while preparing for the Beast to cross the ocean to finish them off. The Beast has not yet come to claim them, and the people have since grown lax. The Dustlands, the arid Badlands to the west of the coast and New Clarion, are slowly being populated by adventurous and desperate settlers, and tensions with the native people of the land have grown, with some small conflicts arising as tribes resist the push of colonization. New Clarion continues to stand as the bulwark of civilization, and the danger and uncertainty of a land without the wonders of clockwork technology keeps most of its citizens within the walls. Strict limitations on who can leave and when keep the rest in. New Clarion is run by the old imperial military hierarchy, the Law, and led by the High Marshal. It is patrolled by clockwork automatons and their human handlers, and strict legislation on just about everything considered a threat to the government has led to a thriving underworld that exists to flaunt this control. The city is filled with arcane clockwork technology, strange cultists, magic drugs, and desperate scoundrels like you. You are a new crew of ne'er-do-wells who want to buck the law and make your own way. You'll have to navigate dangerous gangs, deadly clockwork, and strange new powers to rise to the top, but you've got the guts and the skill to pull it off. Let's see what you become. And so typically this would be a longer thing, and I'm certainly happy to come back to it if we have another time where like Emily's not free and we want to come back to these characters. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But for now, we're gonna kind of see the beginnings of this gang. And we've kind of chosen the basics, but we'll run through crew creation and game creation real quick, and then get started. Shouldn't take too long, but I'll go ahead. So you guys want to be hawkers? You want to be vice suppliers? That what we settled on? Alyssa just gives
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, except in RPGs.
Because they give you magical powers.
Exactly. Drugs in the real world do not do this, so do not take them.
They give you the power of stupidity.
Okay, so you guys don't have to come up with a name for your crew right now, but maybe at some point we will.
I thought you were about to say character, and I was about to be very sad.
I don't know. I've got Cobra Kai on my mind, so I'm thinking Eagle Fang.
Eagle Fang. Okay.
That sounds cool.
That is...
Eagles don't have fangs, but that's not the point.
Right, of course. The Eagle Fangs. We'll put that as a placeholder for now. Okay, so I have copied this from... So all of the like things you can probably see, the crews and characters, those are like the templates, and we'll copy new, like duplicate new versions and write in those. But I will go ahead and put this at the top here. The Eagle Fangs. You guys can take a look at that crew sheet that is now at the top of the list there. And there are only a couple of things you have to do. Character creation and crew creation actually don't take that long. We should be able to do it pretty quickly. But let's talk about this. So hawkers, vice dealers. They execute product procurement, covert sales, shows of force, and social events. So the general idea is that you have a supply and you need customers. You need to protect your sales territory, and just generally kind of convince all the other underworld people that you mean business. If we've chosen that, then we also know that your crew begins with 2 coin, and coin in this game is kind of like cash die and burning wheel. It's kind of like the proverbial briefcase full of money. So you have 2 of those, so 2 kind of bundles of cash. I think they're probably referred to as banknotes, the actual like bills, in this city. You also start out at tier 0, which is the lowest tier of organization. The highest tier in the city is the law itself, which is tier 6. So that's as high as you can get. But you also start off with a stronghold, which means that you're holding together well. There's nothing threatening your organization at all, and you also have 0 rep. So you have no real reputation yet. Nothing to throw your weight around with. First thing you're going to do is choose an initial reputation and layer. So reputation meaning just kind of like a 1-word descriptor of like when the people who do know about the Eagle Fangs, what do they know about you? Like, and so the examples it lists here are ambitious, brutal, daring, honorable, professional, savvy, subtle, and strange.
What about odd?
Yeah, I mean, strange.
I don't know.
Yeah, you could choose that one. What do you guys think?
What do you guys think?
We could also wait on that until we like know your guys' characters more too.
That's true.
Maybe until we wait. Yeah, until we get our characters.
You know what? Let's do this. Since we know the crew type already, let's do characters first, and then it will probably inform some of what the crew will kind of be. So in terms of character creation, has everybody chosen the playbook then? Seth, you're going to be a whisper. Yes. Okay. And then Alyssa, you want to be a hound. And then Jordan, what were you going to end up being?
Yeah, let me. I want to be a leech.
Leech, yeah. Yeah, the leeches in this version of the game are definitely going to be a lot about messing with the clockwork technology and stuff, right? So you have knowledge
Yeah.
about that sort of thing. So someone's singing in the background.
Did somebody just watch the new Indiana Jones trailer? Is that what's going on?
Oh, I didn't know there was one.
I didn't know they were making one either, but apparently they are because I just saw the trailer today. So
Yep.
This is how I found out. No, that's just my roommate singing because he's a joyful man. He's a joyful fellow.
Fair enough.
it sounded like the Indiana Jones theme song for a second there. So
No, I definitely was the Indiana Jones theme.
All right, so just copying new versions of these characters for y'all. You can edit. And then you want to be Leech, Jordan. Okay. Sounds good. Alrighty.
Yeah, I want my job to be sucking.
Yeah. The expectations are pretty low there, you know. All right. Okay, so let's just go ahead and run through each of these steps one at a time and have all three of you go through it at once. So the first thing you're going to choose is heritage. So there's going to be a list there, but that's for the original setting of the game. The list you guys would choose from would be, I think there would be, let's see, 4 options. One would be colonist, which would mean the kind of standard kind of European-ish people who came over, the imperial citizens, the descendants of them. Next, the other one would be, and these are all just kind of like the colloquial terms that are used from. There's probably like proper names for each of these like peoples, like the ethnic groups. But there's also the slaves, which would be, they're not slaves now, but like they were once slaves in this old empire, but have since kind of assimilated into the city here. And they would be kind of like maybe like African Indian in cultures, kind of like those analogs. And then you have natives, which would be Native American, pretty straight there. And then the fourth one would be like a subset of the colonists, which would be cultist. And mainly that's determining a kind of cultural heritage more than an ethnic heritage. And there's a bunch of kind of weird cults that have started springing up, very kind of like Mormon-like out in the Dustlands. So you could be kind of in that culture as well. So Mormonism would be a strong, or like Jehovah's Witness would be strong analogs for that kind of culture that you came from. You don't have to continue being a cultist, but that's a possible option as well. And the idea here is that one of the dots you're going to assign to your like skills is going to be influenced by this, right? So you'd be like, well, I'm a colonist, so I'd be familiar with clockwork. I'll put this in Tinker. So you can kind of just choose whatever, but that's the idea, is you're kind of basing it off.
Which ones help with which one? Mainly because I'm between colonist and cultist right now.
I would say if you're a colonist, you're going to be more familiar with the clockwork technology stuff. If you're a cultist, you're going to be more familiar with light, the drug.
Okay, then cultist.
Yeah, so it makes sense if you're a whisper that you're already familiar with it. And you don't necessarily have to still be in one of the cults, but you at least probably were at one point. So there you go. Yeah, cultist is one. Alyssa, Jordan, what do you guys think?
Would you say that the old slaves were
Yeah.
probably more familiar now with like grunt work, and kind of like they're probably more like, I don't know, what's like something like, what's an example of something? That's just kind of my
one of
thought.
those. Yeah, that would make sense. Also probably what's it called? They have some kind of weird religious stuff going on too, that might be relevant. And honestly, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, because my preference would be to play like a Native American type, but I don't know how helpful that is with a hound, because
yes,
I don't know.
So again, the rules are pretty loose on this. So you really are it's completely up to you how your heritage influences the skill that you get from it. I don't like it, you can't. There's really no wrong answer. As long as it makes sense to you.
No, there's definitely, well, for not for her, but there is a wrong answer for me.
But so yeah, if you can make an argument for it, that's fine enough, right?
I'll go Native American.
Yeah.
So I just type that into heritage.
Type native, yeah.
Oh, native.
Yep. Okay. This isn't actually America. It's just
That's fair.
they are the indigenous people of this land. But
plus, I don't think they like to be called Native Americans anymore. Is that not?
I don't know. It
politically
changes.
correct?
It changes like every 10 years.
Changes
So
all the
who
time.
knows?
Who knows?
Well, they are not the ones that changed it. It's people around them.
Right. Yeah. And then Jordan, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I definitely shouldn't be the Indian stereotype with the tech.
You want to be tech support?
I just feel like
Not that kind of Indian.
Well, no, like I was saying that the slave, the old kind of like conquered peoples who kind of came over with they were also kind of maybe Indian in ethnicity as well. So Indian, African, kind of Middle Eastern are all possibilities there.
Yeah, let's not and say we didn't.
Yeah,
for the sake of being,
if you're thinking about like who would be best with like clockwork stuff, if that's what you're interested in, then colonist makes the most sense. Right,
works.
you just like grew up around that stuff all the time. Cool.
Yep.
Sounds good. And then next would be background. So the background options, this is like what you did before you became a scoundrel. So academic, labor, law, trade, military, noble, or underworld. And those are listed on the character sheet as well, under background, for reference.
I think I'm going to go with labor.
Yeah. So you were
going with
a
academic.
servant, a factory worker, a coach driver, a docker, a sailor, one of those. Yeah. Cool. Do you have any idea, Alyssa, what specifically you were in labor?
Nope.
So that's fine.
You tell me. What do you think is most interesting? That I worked for some kind of noble who was stuck up, or that I was just some random laborer who got really beefy strong by what I did?
Yeah, the options that it kind of, the examples it kind of lists here are like a servant, a factory worker, a coach driver, a docker, a sailor, or they have listed here a railjack, which is basically, in our setting, it would just be railroad operator, right? So you'd be either like one of the people who like puts the coal in, whatever.
That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
Go for that.
You were working on the railroad all the livelong day?
Yep.
Just to pass the time away. Sounds good. Yep. Seth, Jordan, what are you guys thinking?
Academic.
Okay. Yep.
I think.
I second this in motion.
You want to be academic as well?
Yeah, it makes sense for Leech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I worked in the railroad and that's how I got into the drug business, was because people transported drugs on the railroad, right?
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah. I mean, at the very least, there definitely is drug smuggling that happens via rail.
Well, right. That's what I mean.
Yeah. I gotta ask, what kind of drugs are we talking about here?
So there are normal drugs probably that are involved, but like the drug in question that everyone wants is called light. And it does two things, right? It's a drug like any other, so it gives you like a high, but it also gives you visions and like has you hear voices, which the cultists who you come from would claim come from God, right? So the what's it called? The like Mormon-esque cult that you were probably a part of at some point. They're kind of like a mix between Mormonism and hippies, right? They smoke this drug so that they can hear the voice of God and know what to do, right?
So it's something they smoke then.
It is something they smoke.
That was my main question.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then also one thing that light does is it does give you like an edge. So it kind of makes you like a mini superhero. It's not super crazy, but like you're faster, you're stronger, you're quicker. You're quicker in intellect and stuff too. It kind of just gives you a boost. And so a lot of people in the underworld use it simply for that, right? Like you get jacked up on light and then you can take on a bunch of people, right? Is the idea. So as if you guys were light purveyors, there's all sorts of people who are going to want that. Because there's all sorts of uses for it. Like literally people who just want to get high, even though they probably won't go to light for that because it's the most expensive of the drugs. They might go for something lesser, but also visions or being a cool fighter or whatever are all options for people who want light.
And I'm assuming all of these drugs are illegal.
Yes, very much so.
Yep. Even for like the religious people? Or did they get regular suppliers?
Well, so this is the thing, right? The light is originally from the natives, right? So that it didn't exist in the old continent. It just is here, and it comes from some plant out in the wilderness, right? And for a lot of people, you can only really get it from the natives. So there's a lot of like trade happening there. And it needs to be like processed in a certain way. Just smoking the plant straight as from like the leaf or whatever, that's not going to do it. There's like a specific way you have to process it and make it kind of become magical. But so because of that origin, the kind of institutional church that's in the city wants nothing to do with it. But the cults do, but the cults are illegal. So
yeah.
And there's like a whole list of factions that are in here as well, but I'm not gonna like list them all off. We'll talk about them as they become relevant. But yeah, lots of cults and things that want light. So academic for both of you guys, I assume it means something different. So for Seth, what are you thinking academic? Like a scholar, a professor, a student, a journalist? Journalist, really?
Yes.
Okay. So just give me the brief story of what happened here. Like you were born into like a Mormon cult, and then what happened?
Were
you born in the city? Were you born out in the Dustlands?
I was born in the city.
Okay.
And they really got me into the drugs, and it kind of messed with his mind.
Yeah, of course.
And so he wanted to be a reporter, but he kind of used that just as his excuse to go find more drugs. Right. And kind of be a dealer and go around.
Cool. Yeah. So you used to work for a newspaper for a broadsheet?
That's questionable whether if he ever actually worked for a newspaper or if he was just a reporter.
You just pretended to be a reporter? Okay.
Maybe. No one really knows.
Okay.
And it's a way of me saying I don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah. It's not relevant anymore. Yeah. He's not if he did work for it before, he doesn't anymore because he never actually reported.
Of course. And then Jordan, so if you were an academic as a leech, one option is that you were apprenticed to a mechanist, who are the people, the like high up people who actually make the clockwork. So you wouldn't be privy, you wouldn't have been like a high up person who like knew the secrets, but you could have been an apprentice at one point, if that makes sense to you. Cool. Sounds good. I see vigorous nodding. Ooh. Cool. So then you're going to assign your 4 action dots. So if you look at that list there, on your character sheet on the right of all the kind of skills, you'll have 3 that are already put in there for playbook you chose. But then you can assign 4 more. 1 dot that reflects your heritage, 1 dot that reflects your background, and 2 dots anywhere you please. The max rating on any of these is 2, so you can't increase anything higher than 2 at character creation.
What are these though?
Yes, so I can give quick descriptions of them. Let me find where those are.
So 2 of them are already bubbled in, correct?
Yes. So the ones that are already in there are like the standard ones you get with your playbook automatically. So.
So we get 4 more,
you'll add 4 more. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Based on our heritage or background.
So 1 will be based on heritage, 1 dot, and 1 dot based on your background, and then 2 dots just like whatever you think makes sense for what you did in the past, sort of thing.
Got it.
Here we go. Okay. So, attune is basically anytime you're interacting with magic stuff. So mostly that means like light. So the like magical drug stuff. So you could use it to like to see the visions that light gives you more clearly. To use it to do like a cool feat. To get, use the boost aspect of it. Any other thing that would have to do with kind of like the more arcane aspects of things in the game. Command is compelling swift obedience. Consort is socializing with friends and contacts. Finesse is employing dexterous manipulation or subtle misdirection. Hunt is carefully tracking a target. It also involves precision shooting over a distance. So for you, Alyssa, that's your main thing as a hound, because it's not only tracking things, but it's also sniping them. So
which one?
Hunt.
Hunt. Right.
Yep.
Right.
So it's both of those things. It's hunting and shooting. If you're up close and personal, then you're not going to be using hunt, but from a distance, certainly. Prowl is to traverse skillfully and quietly. It's like sneaking. Skirmish is entangling a target in close combat. So brawling, wrestling, hack and slash, that sort of stuff. Studying is scrutinizing details and interpreting evidence, the Sherlock skill. More like the research skill, I suppose, because survey is observing the situation and anticipating outcomes. So you might spot telltale signs of trouble before it happens. You might uncover opportunities or weaknesses. You might detect a person's motivations or intentions, so on and so forth. Sway is influencing someone with guile, charm, or argument. Tinker is fiddling with devices and mechanisms. Wreck is unleashing savage force to like smash down a door or a wall or an explosive, using explosives. And that should be all of them.
So, can I keep these straight in my head?
Yeah, ask if you.
So what do we get to pick?
So you're picking one. You're adding one dot based on your heritage. What you think that your heritage has supplied you in life.
Oh,
right?
Gotcha.
It's just what we think. It's not
There's no specific rules about it. It's just if it makes sense to all of us. Like it wouldn't make sense for you, Alyssa, to say maybe.
Like Tinker, that wouldn't.
Yeah, Tinker wouldn't make much sense, but almost anything else probably makes sense.
But what was maybe like Prowl, maybe?
Yeah, Prowl would make sense.
Like it would make sense for me to say Sway because I was a cultist.
Sure. Yep.
And what was Consort again?
Consort is kind of like circles rolls in Burning Wheel. It's like finding allies and contacts and getting them to do stuff for you in like a kind of more social sense rather than like individual persuasion.
I would probably pick that for my academic side, given I was that reporter who was like going around.
Yep. That's accurate.
And then
two others that you can just kind of place wherever. But yeah, max
what was study again?
Study is like research.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you say max rating of 2, you mean 2 dots?
2 dots. Yep.
Okay.
And each dot is a die that you're rolling.
So is it more worth it to spread it out or to double up?
Kind of up to you. Like there are plenty of opportunities to get bonus die on things, so it's not like strictly necessary to try to max 2 dice and everything or that you want or whatever. But the difference between 0 dice and 1 dice means you're rolling. If you have 0, you're rolling 2 dice and taking the lower, as opposed to 1 dice. You have pretty much a 50-50 chance of succeeding in some way. So it is a pretty big jump.
I'm gonna pick study and sway.
Makes sense
again. Because I already have the voice in my head for this guy.
Cool. So yeah, once everybody has chosen those, just let me know and we can go to the next one.
I have selected.
Very good. I saw that. Looks good. You have 2 in study, 2 in survey, 2 in tinker, and 1 in rec. Looks great.
I think I'm gonna go 1 finesse, 1 prowl, 1 command.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I think which other one do you think makes sense, or should I just put 1 more in 2?
Yeah, having 2 skills that have 2 makes sense. So bumping maybe finesse or prowl up.
Let's go with prowl.
Yeah, you can sneak to sniping position and then snipe.
Yep.
Cool. Next, you're going to choose a special ability. So on the bottom left, there's a list there. And if you have any questions about what they do, just let me know. And
get to pick 1?
1 of them, yeah. Start off with. And then the first one on the list for each of you is kind of like the suggested default option. So if you can't think of any one, that's a good one to just choose.
I think Augury makes sense for my character, but I'll read the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I'll go with the suggested one, I think.
Cool. What does that one do? Sharpshooter. You can push yourself to do one of the following. Make a ranged attack at extreme distance beyond what's normal for the weapon, or unleash a barrage of rapid fire to suppress the enemy. Sounds cool.
Actually, I kind of like Buzz. Wait, I gotta let me address these.
Yeah, so originally, Seth, this character or the Whisper is like a person who talks to ghosts, but there aren't ghosts in our setting, so I changed it to be like magical drug addict. So this is the most custom of any of the sheets. I like reworked it almost entirely. So most of these are ones that I wrote. So
give me a second. I'm gonna read the rest of them.
I was pretty happy with them. I think it's pretty fun.
I like Augury is funny, but Buzz just fits with how I kind of want to play this.
You are constantly smoking small amounts of light to keep the drug running through your veins. As a result, your senses are greatly heightened. When you are about to take an action, you may survey to gain precognition of the consequences of said action. This can also give you a chance to react to danger before your character would be able to sense it normally. Cool.
It's drug-induced spiders.
Exactly, yes. Indeed. Jordan, what about you? Might come back around to me. Well, I mean, we've basically reached the point where you should choose someone, but I guess we can move on to the next step, which is fine. Just be thinking about what you want to do there. So next would be choose one close friend and one rival. So if you look at the right below the actions, like the skills, there's a list of friends, like contacts. You're gonna choose one to put the upright triangle, and one to do the downward triangle. Upward means they're your friend. Downward means they're your enemy.
Wait, where?
So
I see.
On the right below the like skills, there's I think it lists like clever friends or whatever.
I see it now.
That it says deadly friends.
Oh, okay. Jordan says clever friends. Yours says deadly friends.
Mine says strange friends.
Strange friends. Yeah, that makes sense. So these
one
are like
a good...
So you're gonna one as the upward triangle, which is like an ally, and one with the downward triangle, which is like an enemy or a rival.
Okay.
What's a soul keeper?
Soul keeper are the people who let me remember. I believe it's like the inquisitors of the established church. So the institutional church is called the Church of the Enlightenment. It's like Christianity with all of the actual, it's like really hyper liberal Christianity where like it's all just kind of about like vague feelings and not much in the way of actual
the more
morality.
Smoke in the room, the more Holy Spirit there is.
Yeah.
So okay, here so not
they're stooges of the state. So the soul keepers are basically the people who go to door and be like, "Are you in a strange cult? You should come back to the Church of the Enlightenment."
Okay,
they're the nice police of the church, just making sure everyone's following the dictates of the state church.
Well, my question is, with the priest, then I'm looking for someone who would be someone like in the church. Would that be like the priestess then?
Yeah, priestess would also be probably like of the Church of the Enlightenment.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put down on the cultist, then up on the native shaman, who's probably one of my suppliers.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm debating between Vester, the bodyguard, and Ross, a spy. I want one of those two.
So your enemy is, or rival is Melvin, the physician.
Yeah, I got beat up one too many times and didn't pay my bills.
Oh, that makes sense. You owe him.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's. I like the name Vester, but I feel like a spy would be more helpful.
Yeah.
Let's go with Ross.
Sounds good. Yeah, we can talk about who exactly he's spying for when it becomes relevant. What Seth and Alyssa chose for special ability, Jordan? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, or you mean like our like I'm a hound and Jordan's a whisperer. Is that what you meant?
Jordan is typing. Special ability.
Oh, a sharpshooter.
Yeah,
I'm buzzed. I'm constantly high.
I think they're all different, Jordan, for each playbook, but the Alyssa basically chose like a super cool shooting one where she can shoot like from really far away or do like a special suppress fire move. And then Seth chose buzzed, which basically gives him drug-induced spider sense.
That's not even why I picked it. I just picked it because my character is the kind of person who
constantly be smoking drugs. Yeah.
But hey, if it has upside, so
mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on if you like. You could be the crew physician if you chose that one. Jordan would be good at healing people. You could be good with explosives. You could be good with the clockwork stuff. Torn between physician and artificer, Jordan says.
Just like in D&D.
Yes. So artificer is when you invent or craft a creation with clockwork features, take +1 result level to your roll. You begin with one special design already known. Yeah, it sounds like we're getting Audrin again. But yeah, then physician would be you can tinker with bones, blood, and bodily humors to treat wounds and or stabilize the dying. You may study a malady or corpse. Everyone in your crew gets +1 die to their healing treatment rolls. Jordan says, "Shh, it's definitely not Audrin again." Looks left, looks right. There's also, I loved this one from the playbook. Venomous. Choose a drug or poison to which you have become immune. You can push yourself to secrete it through your skin or saliva or exhale it as a vapor. So you're just like so immune to this poison that you just ingest it all the time, and so it starts secreting out of you and poison other people.
Weird.
Very weird. You slap the sleepies into people. Yes. Physician has been chosen by Jordan.
He might need a healer.
Jordan also chose for his ally, Veldrin, a psychonaut, which psychonaut would basically be someone who is very interested in exploring the dream state that is induced by light, and seeking out what they can learn from that. And your enemy/rival is Eckerd, a corpse thief. So
that okay.
And then Seth, you chose Kurik, a native shaman, for your ally, and Vin, a cultist. Yeah, so Vin's probably like the guy who, who's like trying to be like, you need to come back to the flock, brother, sort of a thing.
Believe it.
Sounds good. Okay, cool. Next, you're gonna choose your vice. So you may be vice suppliers, but you also have a vice. And the way this game works, right? So there's a kind of pool of stuff called stress that you can use to push yourself. You also take stress when like bad things happen to you. But you only regain stress from indulging in your vice. So this doesn't necessarily have to mean you're a drug addict. Like you could be getting high off your own supply, but there are plenty of other more what's the word?
Vices?
More acceptable vices, right? Such as faith. You're dedicated to an unseen power, forgotten god, ancestor, etc. Gambling, you crave games of chance, betting on sporting events, etc. Luxury, expensive or ostentatious displays of opulence. Obligation, you're devoted to a family, a cause, an organization, a charity, etc. Pleasure, gratification from lovers, food, drink, drugs, art, theater, etc. Stupor, you seek oblivion in the abuse of drugs, drinking to excess, getting beaten to a pulp in the fighting pits, etc. And weird, you experiment with strange essences, consort with rogue spirits, observe bizarre rituals or taboos, etc. So, what do you guys think? What is your vice of choice? You guys, like, it's hard being a scoundrel, and sometimes you just need to blow off some steam and go do magical drugs. What do you think?
Mine is obviously just drugs.
Just drugs. So which one? I could see 3 different versions of how you treat the drug, right? It could be pleasure, right? It's just you like the drug and want to smoke it. Stupor, you want to seek oblivion in the abuse of the drugs. Or weird, you want to like look into the visions and stuff.
Probably just one. He just likes them.
Just pleasure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Where is this?
Should be vice.
Oh, here we go. So pleasure then is what it is. Drug pleasure. How do I write this in?
So this should be, vice right there. Yeah, drug pleasure. That works just fine.
Okay.
What about you guys, Alyssa, Jordan?
Like why I'm in it personally? Into this drug business, or
no. So this is your vice, right? So you guys may be vice purveyors, but it's stressful being a scoundrel, and you need a way to blow off steam yourself. You have a vice that you indulge in. What is it? Faith, gambling, luxury, obligation, pleasure, stupor, or weird? And I can describe them again if you'd like.
I think the vices are on here.
They are listed there as well. Yeah. Jordan says, is electricity a thing yet in this world? So clockwork technology kind of takes the place of most of that. They can probably generate some form of electricity or something similar with the like arcane clockwork gears that get wound up and then let to spin. There probably are like lights that are turned on by this stuff, but it's not electricity as we would probably be familiar with it. Something slightly more arcane than that. One thing that is happening currently is that it's not like necessarily being talked about, but it seems obvious that people are starting to look for an alternate source of energy besides clockwork stuff. And the current thing they're doing right now is oil. There's a lot of whaling going on out in the ocean. And they're trying to, like, a lot of people are using, so there's probably like oil lamps and other things around as well.
But why oil when you could drugs?
What about giving people a little zappy zap, like a mild taser, Jordan says? You could probably do something like that. It wouldn't probably be electricity. I'm trying to think of what would be something else you could do to achieve a similar effect.
Of what?
Electricity, like to be in a taser. I'm also trying to think of how like clockwork gears and things could generate some form of electricity.
It technically could, but at that point you're just using it as a motor.
Right. It's just a generator at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, we can probably say that maybe there's something. Oh. Yeah, go
ahead. Depending on how fast it's spinning, if it like
that's what I was just going to say.
That's not a spark. That's a. Oh, maybe the thing I was thinking of was like a less of a shock, more of just a igniter sort of.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Maybe it's something, Jordan, like a little device that you wind up really tight and then let go in one burst, and it like unwinds itself really quickly, so that it just like does a zap or a jolt or whatever. You want your vice to be tasing people.
Why not just punching people? Why does it have to be a taser?
So that would be. So
you're a sadist.
It's very much different than adrenaline.
So is the point that you want to give people pain? And yes, Gurno in chat, Blaze in the Dark is very much inspired by Dishonored, the game.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there's some of these that can be pretty mild, Alyssa. So, like obligation, for example, would be the one if you want to be a normal person, right? So you're devoted to a family, a cause, an organization, or a charity, something along those lines.
What's the circle of flame?
Did you look at the faction list?
I'm just looking at it. Just says vice proprietors or purveyors, and the circle of flame is listed as one of them.
Where is that? I'm not seeing it.
It's under items and vice purveyors. Under handouts.
Oh, and handouts. Oh, yeah. I don't think these exist in
our world.
In ours. There will be a person that you probably go to, but I don't think we're using this list.
Okay. I know I'm just debating if I want to go with the gambling route or if I want to go with the obligation route. One of the other.
Oh, so yeah, Circle of Flame on here is listed as a secret society. If you want something like that, I have options probably.
Okay. Something like that sounds cool.
Let's take a look here. So if it's not something along the religious line, it could be you could be helping the owls. The owls are an organization that kind of like are like one of the only like good underworld organizations in the city. They're like a group of vigilantes that like try to keep their neighborhood safe and like protect the poor people and whatnot. You could be like working with them.
It's like a Robin Hood thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So on the side, I do my drugs, but I'm also...
I mean, honestly, you could even just do it yourself, right? You could literally be like Green Arrow in the night, right? Sort of a thing. And just like be a vigilante by night and be a drug dealer by day.
Drug dealer by day, vigilante by night.
Yeah.
Yes, I sell drugs, but it's to feed it so I can get by.
Yeah.
No. And then what
there
you
are
do?
Also people you can sell drugs to that wouldn't harm poor people too, right? Like you wouldn't be selling the drugs to like get like poor people addicted or anything like that, right?
No. Yeah, of course not.
What you do is you sell the drugs at night, and then during the day you.
I'm probably selling them to rich people who I just like don't care about, right? And then at night I'm just like want to help the poor people.
I'm sure there are plenty of rich people who disregard the law and want light anyway.
Right.
For sure.
And when you do your vigilante work, you can steal the drugs that they have and give them, then use those as new products.
Sure, yeah. That makes sense to me. That sounds like a fun obligation vice. Being Batman.
Batman.
It's fun.
Except that I have a really high voice.
So it sounds to me, Jordan, like your vice is weird. Right? I think for you it's probably like being a weirdo. Right?
I suggested he be a weirdo by licking people's foreheads. He didn't.
So I need to read through this giant conversation you guys have been having.
Sorry, I was like not listening at all to what you and Alyssa were saying.
Trying to avoid making it pleasure. I think it has to be pleasure, Jordan. I think you just gain it. That's what it is. It's pleasure, but it's like weird sadism, right? Like you just like making people feel uncomfortable or.
Keep reading what he was writing.
So obligation isn't going to work there. Obligation is like, I have a family that needs me. I have people that need me. Like, I'm thinking it's like, so what's the fundamental motivation? And okay, so what are you actually doing? I'm still unclear on this. Like, what's actually going on?
Why are you selling drugs?
Well, no, it's like, what do you do to blow off steam and why?
Oh, right.
He wants to make, sounds like he wants other people to feel the stress that he's experiencing.
So your vice is torture? Is that what you're saying? You're making it, everything you've written so far has made it sound really, really awful.
I mean, I'm a character who's constantly on drugs, and to Lee's
I just want to make sure that's where Jordan wants to go with this.
I'm just saying, awful's kind of already been set.
The desire for relatability.
It's like, I'm suffering, ergo you must suffer. So that's kind of torture.
This sounds like you're a sociopath and you're trying to understand the human condition. Yeah, I think this is weird. I think this is like Pinocchio wanting to be a real boy. You're trying to analyze the human form, and you're just like weird and maybe on the autism spectrum, something like that, right? Where it's like you don't understand people and want to.
I don't think it said he doesn't understand people. It says like that I'm having a bad day. You must have a bad day too.
That's torture. Like,
yeah.
It would be much better if you were on maybe on the spectrum, right? Because then you just like don't read facial expressions well. You don't understand
so I'm thinking if it's weird, it's probably something along those lines where it's like I'm trying to I like want to try to blend into human society or something like that. If it's I try to make other people feel what I feel, and usually it's negative. That's just like pleasure, and you're a sadist. But yes, you could go in a safer direction like drugs. That is also a possibility.
Drugs is the safer direction.
Yeah. You could also be part of a weird cult. If you could also go the other direction and be a masochist and do stupor. You like torture yourself somehow. Are there any featuring Kool-Aid? I mean, probably something similar.
That's the cult.
Let's take a look at the list of cults here. You have the Kingdom of God, the First Cause, the Children of Orlum, the Latter-day Pilgrims, and the Divine Host. I like the weird cults. Yeah, what are you thinking, Jordan? Jordan does not know. So again, faith, you're dedicated to an unseen power, forgotten god, ancestor, etc. Gambling, you crave games of chance, betting on sporting events, etc. Luxury, expensive or ostentatious displays of opulence. Obligation, you're devoted to a family, a cause, an organization, a charity, etc. Pleasure, gratification from lovers, food, drink, drugs, art, theater, etc. You seek oblivion in the use, stupor. You seek oblivion in the abuse of drugs, drinking to excess, getting beaten to a pulp in the fighting pits, etc. Or weird. You experiment with strange essences, consort with rogue spirits, observe bizarre rituals or taboos. My obligation is to a group trying to overthrow the stupid academic system that I was trained under, but because they kicked me out. Okay. So in what way? Like, what is your view? So is this like the idea would be you're against the mechanists, right? Who are the people who make the clockwork automatons? That's you're probably like an apprentice to one of them. I don't know if you were necessarily in like the university per se. This is like be like a special trade school that you go to be apprenticed to mechanists. Is this like, do you have a different view about the automatons? Like, do you hate them or not like them? Do you love them in a way that the mechanists don't? There is a cult called the First Cause that kind of like worships the clockwork and thinks that like using them as like servants is bad. That could be one thing. Cult robot thing probably works best. Yeah, I think that's interesting. Yeah, you like so the thing I know about the First Cause is basically they're viewed as like it's like literal Deus Ex Machina, God from the machine. Right, like they are the gods. The machine form is the perfect form. We are simply lesser. And they're called the clockwork themselves are referred to as the first causes, and humans are the second causes. So it's kind of like a weird like. There's definitely some kind of like we're living in a simulation vibes as well, where it's like the robots are the true humanity, like the true sentience, and we are like a lesser form of sentience, and so we can't actually see what's really happening in the world like they can, that sort of stuff. I mean, you could still be a physician and like robots. It just might also mean that you graft robot parts onto people when you have to cut their arm off, right?
That's awesome. You're like, you need more robot in you.
and that's the thing. There are probably different takes in the cult as well. Cults being how they are, there's definitely not a firm doctrine. So like you could be one of the people who's like, we need to make people into robots, or like other people in the cult are like, no. Robots and people are separate. We just need to worship them. And like it's Can my vice be something with a compulsion to tinker? Yeah, certainly. Like weird probably works fine for that. Just literally like you have to keep fiddling with your technology or whatever. Is also perfectly. I mean, honestly, if we wanted to go, if you wanted to lean into the physician stuff, Jordan, your vice could literally be you want to cut people open, like not because you hate them or anything, but because like I need to see what's inside. I need to like mess with the human physique and like be a doctor, and you're like that's your job, but like the really reason you do it is because like that's your vice. Cutting people for science and stuff. Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, just go ahead and put down you can put down pleasure or weird, either one's fine. Whatever you'd like to, but we know it's doctory stuff, medical whatnot. All right, cool. All right, so if you guys could record your name, alias, and look, that would be the last thing for characters. So looks like Seth has his character name, Clancy Fairbright.
Clancy Fairbright here, see?
I see. Yes, you are 20s reporter voice. I get it now.
So alias,
yeah, you don't have to have an alias, but if you don't want people knowing your real name, this would be what you would go by.
Clancy Fairbright is my real name. Maybe I don't know. We'll play with that. Maybe here's what I'll do. I'll put Clancy Fairbright as my alias. I'll leave my name blank, and if it becomes relevant,
okay,
we'll go over it.
Yeah, Clancy Fairbright is your reporter name. Who knows if you have your Christian name, your Mormon name, right?
Yes. If it becomes relevant, I'll make an actual name, but we'll just stick with my alias because it's funnier that way.
Yeah. That's good to me.
Trying to think of a name.
Yeah, and for looks, you can put down basically like, gender, personality, like a one word that kind of is like your personality trait, and then like what you're wearing is the three things it usually lists here. Your outfit. Yeah, but Native American name generator is probably your best friend here, Alyssa.
Okay.
What do we put under crew?
Right. It seems like it's the Eagle Fangs is what they're called. As the placeholder, at least. I don't know if you have a different idea based on what you can know your guys' characters are, and it doesn't seem to have much to do with light, but with the drugs.
My look is man, 30s, wearing suit partially patched up with newspapers.
What? Okay.
Remember you said in the chat you like newspapers, suits? I'm like, okay, I'll wear a suit.
You actually decided to do it. Okay. You're strange.
And it's magical newspaper. Why it doesn't go?
Sure.
I was originally going to say suit completely made of newspaper. I held back.
We are all thankful. Jordan's name is Lionel Crusholm. I don't know how to pronounce that, but
Croissant.
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 Croissant. Exactly.
Don't you hate it when you're like, that name was fine, but I bet I can find another one that I'll like more. And then you're like, oh crap, I can't remember what the name I kind of liked was anymore. Yep. Okay. Let's go with because I need an alias too.
You don't necessarily need an alias. It would just I guess you would have one as Batman.
Yeah.
As your vigilante alias.
Okay, my name is gonna be Paloma. It's a Native American last name.
I don't know if they really had last names.
So
Paloma's probably fine just as it
Paloma, and then alias is gonna be my alias is gonna be.
Well, what if your alias is Eagle Fang?
Nah.
Okay.
That's stupid.
But it's fine for the crew name.
Yes. I'll probably just have a regular name as my alias. I don't know that she sees herself as a superhero to like, give myself a okay. Gonna go with this one just keeps popping up and I'm like sure. We're going with Casa.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so let's see. Crew stuff. Next thing on that list was choose an initial reputation. So again, I'll read you the kind of descriptors it gives as examples. Ambitious, brutal, daring, honorable, professional, savvy, subtle, strange. So this is like how you're viewed in the underworld. What do people think about the light dealers? Are you ambitious? Are you daring? Are you savvy? Are you strange?
I mean, I'm strange, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's the crew as a whole, right? Like, well, how do you operate? How are you viewed?
You go over the list again. Sorry.
Ambitious, brutal, daring, honorable, professional, savvy, subtle, strange.
I mean, I would say we're very weird. I mean, I'm very weird, but I'd probably be quite professional in a sense. She's just a professional weirdo.
Yeah. Jordan says invisible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if our goal is maybe to be selling to like more like the wealthy people who are just wanting to get high for pleasure, then we're probably professional, right?
Sure. Yeah,
I don't
professional
know.
makes sense. Let's go with that. And then you get to choose your lair. First, let's do this. Where is the lair? So so if you look at the map here of the city, of New Clarion, there are plenty of different places here. In terms of the actual lair. You're hilarious, Jordan.
Okay, I was really confused because you spelled the layer still the same way, so I was wondering what. It's hilarious. Sorry, so the layer.
Yeah. Let me.
Are those like red lines, like a rail system of some kind?
So. Yeah.
Okay, so we probably want to be like next to one of those.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, honestly, you could be in Rail Hub, which is E over here. So that's basically, this is the rail leading out of the city. It's definitely considered, let me read the little thing. It's the travel district holding the primary rail hub in the city, leading both in and out of New Clarion. Also holds the vibrant market, also holds a vibrant market, both of legal and illegal goods. It is the primary jumping off point for settlers out to the Dustlands and beyond, and is usually bustling and full of life. So if you care about like getting your drugs in from the train, like straight off, that might be the place to go. Otherwise, if you want to be nearer the people you're selling to, there's always the pockets, which is B over here, which is the kind of like rich noble district.
We'd probably be. I think being near the trains makes sense. You want to make sure that the stuff you're getting gets there safe.
Yep, makes sense to me.
I feel like once it's in the city, it's probably easier to smuggle it around.
Yeah.
Quick question: is this probably during the time of Prohibition, or is this before then?
So I'm sure there's going. Yeah, and kind of. It's. I don't think they care too much about alcohol, but there's certainly like a war on drugs happening right now, for sure. And I think because of the rise of these magical drugs, no one really cares as much about alcohol per se, but illegal drug smuggling is a huge thing, and the government certainly wants to crack down on it.
Wait,
so
I gotta change my slang that I'm working with then.
So yeah, then we talk about where the crew makes its lair in Railhub, right? So you're tier 0, so it's probably a very modest or abandoned sort of place. The examples it kind of lists as possibilities are a half-sunken grotto in the city's maze-like underground canals, an abandoned watchtower atop an ancient crumbling wall, the unassuming back rooms of a merchant shop, a small abandoned house at the end of a dark lane, a rickety tin-roofed shack perched on a rooftop, or a junked rail car rusted in place on its old overgrown tracks. But you can also make something up.
Sorry, say it again. I was looking up. I was Googling drugs.
I liked the abandoned rail car. That sounded kind of cool.
Yeah, it seems thematic.
Back of a merchant is also just like, okay, fine, classic. I don't know.
You guys down with a junked rail car?
Yeah, I'm down with it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, there's probably at least one kind of like rail that doesn't lead anywhere, right? In this district, and you're kind of at the end of that kind of like defunct rail, and have your little rail car hide out. Cool, love it. So next you're going to establish your sales your it's called your hunting grounds, but it's for you it's sales territory as vice suppliers. This is basically where you're selling your product primarily. I'm assuming if you want to go for the noble thing, it's probably the pockets. It's probably B over here. If that's what you're going for. You could also, there's also plenty of other districts that make sense. It just depends on who you want to sell this stuff to. So let's see, there's also like the pits, which is the primary criminal district of New Clarion, nestled up against the outer wall of the city over here, in F right here. It is home to assassins, thieves, smugglers, drug dealers, prostitutes, cults, and more. Each neighborhood is controlled by gangs, and violent gang wars are not uncommon. Periodically, the law will sweep through the district to attempt to clean out the rough elements, but they've been unsuccessful. So it just kind of depends. Probably the primary people you want to be selling this to would be, yeah, like either rich people who want to flaunt the law to get like maybe jacked up bodyguards, or indulge in like weird visions and just kind of be luxurious that way, or the criminal districts that would include like the weird cults who want the light for their rituals, and criminals who want to get jacked on light to do their criminally things. Those are the kind of the main ones that make sense, but up to you guys.
Yeah, I feel like if we're professional, probably the richer people, but I mean, we could also maybe do some of like the higher ups in the cults as well, but maybe not. I mean, Seth also wants to avoid people in the cults too.
So that's fair. That makes sense. Cool, yeah, so we can do the pockets.
I mean, but there's multiple cults. It's not like we have to go to like yours specifically.
The pockets is a merchant district for the middle class and above. There's not really, I don't think, a actual noble district. That's the closest you get. There's Law Home, which is A right here, which is the center of the city and the home of the law and the High Marshal. There's a bunch of like police bureaucracy and stuff too, and the richest businessmen there, as well as university. But that's probably too dangerous a place to sell light, especially for tier 0 people. So it makes sense to kind of be the slightly less rich in the pockets. And the pockets is so named because it is the prime location for any entrepreneurial minded criminals to pick some pockets. Many merchants, craftsmen, artisans, and artists call the pockets home. So, cool. Yeah. So that's your sales territory. Let me.
Does anybody else notice the unicorn, the rhino, and the eagle?
Wait, I think I see an elephant.
Oh, in the shape of the city.
I see a unicorn.
Where's the unicorn?
Oh yeah, rhino. There it is. See it.
See, I see that as an elephant.
There's a bird of prey up here.
See, this is the elephant's eye, and this is its nose.
Yes, I see it.
I see a fish.
Yeah.
This is a fishy right here. That's its eye.
Okay, so in terms of the sales territory stuff, so I tell you which faction claims the area, and then you decide how to deal with them. So to sell your drugs because again, you're tier 0, to sell your drugs in the pockets, you have to pay off some people. And the, what's it called? The, the faction in charge of that, I need to look at my list here. Let's see. I think it might be the Gilded Purse, which is a criminal organization. It's
a thieves guild, if you will.
No, it's a corrupt merchant guild, right? So it's basically merchants who have decided to also be criminals because they can get away with it. They're pretty powerful. One of the most powerful crime syndicates in the city. But they're more on the respectable side, right? Again, they're merchants, so they do criminally things.
Are criminal.
They typically just try to ruin people's lives instead of murdering them. So a little bit more classy that way. So that's the faction that's in charge of that district. How do you deal with them? Do you pay them off, which means you give them 1 coin in exchange for giving you room to work? Do you pay the faction 2 coin as a show of respect and gain +1 status with them? Or do you keep your money and take -1 status with that faction? Keep in mind, this is a tier 4 organization, so it's very powerful.
I think we just rock, paper, scissors with them any given day.
Given day, yeah.
Whoever wins gets to do what they want.
There you go.
Wait, which one is where is this at?
In B.
You took away the markings. Okay.
Yeah. So
where
B,
are they the biggest one?
The biggest one. What do you mean?
Well, you said there's multiple ones, aren't there?
Yeah. I would say this is the idea here is like who's in charge of this district and who would you have to pay off to do anything in the district. So for B, it'd be the Gilded Purse. For the pits over here, it's going to be the primary like actual crime syndicate, which is called the Midsummer Men. Yeah. For
my question is, which one is the highest rated one? Pay that one off. Ignore the rest.
So it doesn't matter. It's just who is in charge of the district that you want to sell stuff in, right? That's the person you have to deal with, which is the Gilded Purse. You don't really have a choice.
Okay.
So if you wanted to sell somewhere differently, then you'd be able to deal with a different faction, but they're the people who are in charge of the pockets.
Okay. I thought we were dealing with like all of them. Sorry.
No. Yeah.
I thought we had.
There are other factions that you'll definitely be dealing with, but the idea here is to work at all in this district, you have to choose how you deal with the people who are in charge of the place, underworld wise. And you can not pay them at all, but you'll be at -1 status with them, which means they're not like at war with you or anything. They're going to try to take you down, but they're not your friends. And will probably, I think the status. See, what does status mean for this?
How much coin do we have?
We have 2.
Yeah, you have 2 to spend, so you can pay them 1, to just like.
Oh, you lost Jordan.
Bye, Jordan. You can pay them 1 to just leave you alone. You can pay them 2, and it'll get you +1 status with them, so they'll be more friendly to you.
Do we maybe just go 1 so we get them off our backs? We don't necessarily have a +1 with them, but we just don't have anything with them.
Yeah, and that would be the idea. Is like you just give them their normal tithe, and they leave you alone.
What do you think, Alyssa?
That's fine with me because I don't know that I want to use all of our coin on them right at the beginning, but it would be nice to have that. But I mean,
yeah.
This way we have something as opposed to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need to look up what status even does again. Here you go, faction status. So at +1, this faction will help you if it causes no problems or significant cost for them. They expect the same from you. At -1, this faction will look for opportunities to cause trouble for you or profit from your misfortune as long as it causes no problems or significant cost for them. They expect the same from you. So neutral just means they don't really care about you at all. So do you want to do that? Pay 1 coin and they'll leave you alone?
Yeah.
Sounds good?
Fine with me.
All right, let me actually duplicate this faction list so we can start marking what your guys' status are with things. All right. So we'll go ahead and take 1 coin off your list here. And then you're going to choose a crew special ability. So the standard one that you would get, the one that kind of is the default, it's called Silver Tongues. Each PC may add +1 action rating to command, consort, or sway, up to a max rating of 3. So the idea is whenever you do any of those three things, you just get an extra die because your crew, you're just good at this stuff. There's also a bunch of other ones that you can see on the crew sheet at the top of the list here. There's Accord. Sometimes friends are as good as territory. You may count up to 3+3 faction statuses you hold as if they are turf. It's like a faction status thing. There's the good stuff. Your merchandise is exquisite. The product quality is equal to your tier +2. When you deal with a crew or faction, the GM will tell you who among them is hooked on your product. High society. It's all about who you know. Take -1 heat during downtime and +1 die to gather info about the city's elite. That might be a good one to take if you want to focus on the upper class people. Hooked. Your gang members use your product. Add the savage, unreliable, or wild flaw to your gangs to give them +1 quality. And that would be if you had a gang of NPCs to work with you. Patron. When you advance your tier, it costs half the coin it normally would. Who is your patron? Why do they help you? Yeah. Ones that jump out to me is Silver Tongues is always going to be good for doing persuasion-y things, but then High Society seems like a good one for if you want to focus on them.
So -1 heat during downtime, what is
So the idea there is you're gonna when you do a job, you're gonna accrue heat. So kind of like the stars and the GT, like Grand Theft Auto or something like that. So you're accruing. I guess heat isn't exactly that. Wanted status is that, but heat is the thing that leads to wanted. So it's like how much heat did you generate at the end of a score means how much trouble did you cause? How difficult is it going to be to untangle yourself from the job? That sort of thing. So it's just easier to not generate heat or take minimize the heat after the score.
Yeah. That might be good. I was reading Silver Tongues again. I thought it was add +1 to command, consort, and sway.
Well, so it's or, but oh yeah, you're right. Each PC may add. Yeah. I read that wrong initially. So each of you gets to choose one of those to add +1 to. That makes sense.
I'd say High Society works better than because it covers all of us. Sure, it's still a 1, but
that makes sense. What do you want to do?
Silver Tongues still looks good, but
that's fine.
Cool. Alrighty. Next, you're going to assign some crew upgrades. So you guys start off having a secure layer, which means your layer has locks, alarms, and traps to thwart intruders. You also have resolve training, which means basically this is it helps you advance your skills more quickly. You just have either some personal trainer that works for you guys, or just and resolve would be, let's see, which skills is that? Which actions?
Tune, command, consort, and sway.
Yes. So for whatever reason, it's easier for all of you to train those things. Those are the 2 ones you start with, but you also get to choose 2 more crew upgrades. If you look at the crew sheet, they're listed there. But I can kind of start reading through them. Let's see what ones make sense. You do cohort. Cohort is a gang or a single expert NPC who works for your crew. A hidden layer. Your layer has a secret location and is disguised to hide it from view. Quality. Each upgrade improves the quality rating of all the PC's items of that type. So you can choose we all have quality weapons. Quarters. Your lair includes living quarters for the crew. Without this upgrade, each PC sleeps elsewhere and is vulnerable when they do so. And then you could get training for something different. You could get a vault. Your lair has a secure vault, increasing your storage capacity for coin to 8. And then last one would be a workshop. Your lair has a workshop appointed with tools for tinkering and alchemy, as well as a small library of books, documents, and maps. You may accomplish long-term projects with these assets without leaving your lair. So those are all kind of options there, if you're interested in any of those.
Which is one that's quality?
So the idea here is if you choose one of these quality ones, it's like it increases the quality of that type of gear. So when you use it, it's easier. So yeah, you could get like, quality gear, quality implements, quality tools, quality weapons.
I kind of think that the hidden layer along with the Batman motif.
That's true.
The vigilante thing.
Hidden or quarters is what I'm going for.
So you get 2 of them, so you could do both.
Oh.
Fine with me. I don't know how hidden a rail car.
Well, I think maybe the idea would be it's maybe a rail car in like the subway, maybe, right? Like, and to
or
get
in the
to
sewers.
This. Well, yeah, like some sort of underground rail. Well, maybe it's like the idea would be like it's like a collapsed part of a tunnel that no one can get to except you guys know the secret door to get in there. And then there's like a rail car that's like your actual house that's in this like abandoned tunnel.
I watched a movie like that and it was a very dumb movie, but that never mind.
That's fine with me. Hidden in quarters.
Cool.
Sure.
Sounds good. And then for those, when you assign your 2 upgrades, the GM will tell you about 2 factions that are impacted by your choices. One faction helped you get an upgrade, and one faction was screwed over when you got an upgrade. So you're one of them, for the hidden one or the quarters one. Let's take a look at, so you guys are in a rail hub. I'll take a look at the faction list and see who might be responsible for this. So probably for the hidden, I think you screwed over. Well, maybe you actually were helped by them. Yeah, I think the Wolverines helped you get the hidden upgrade. So the Wolverines are basically they're kind of like the guardians of the railroad. So they're the people with guns who like protect the rail cars from bandits and whatever else. But I think maybe some corrupt Wolverines told you about this collapsed tunnel and like allowed you to basically get the hidden upgrade for it. And so they like you and you get +1 status with them. At your option, you can spend 1 coin to repay their kindness and take +2 status with them instead. So up to you guys.
Sorry, I got a message. Read that again.
So they like you and that's why they helped you get this like hidden underground thing. But if you want to spend your other coin, you can get another status +1 with them. It'll be at +2 with you.
I don't know. Is it worthwhile to spend I don't know what we all need coin for is the problem.
Yeah.
So it might be good to keep 1 coin for now. Still.
Is there a chance that we can use that coin to make the people we screwed over not mad at us?
Yes, that's the other option. So whatever faction screwed you over or was screwed over by you when you got the other upgrade, they don't like you. You get -2 status with them. At your option, spend 1 coin to mollify them and take -1 status instead. Let me figure out which one that would be. So this would have been when you took the quarters upgrade. So probably it would be like whoever was giving you places to live before you guys got this like hidden place that you could just. So let's see.
And now they're not making money off the rent that we would pay.
Exactly. I'm trying to think who that might be.
We all met as roommates in this.
Let's say it's the Deadeyes. So the Deadeyes are a group of like assassins and snipers and whatnot, who are like in the underground doing things.
I don't like them being mad at us.
Yeah, and so you were paying them rent before you got this place, and so they don't like you anymore. Do you wanna bribe them, or do you wanna make the Wolverines more your friends?
I like the idea of having not having someone with a -2.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's more interesting.
That is true.
The question is, will the Wolverines protecticate us?
So, as a note, again, faction status for this. So, if the Wolverines were friendly to you, it would mean this faction will help you if it doesn't create serious problems for them. They expect you to do the same. For -2, this faction will look for opportunities to hurt you as long as it doesn't create serious problems for them. They expect you to do the same and take precautions against you. So it depends on which one you think is worse.
So we have a +1 with the people.
So wait, we already have a +1.
Right now, you have a +1 with the Wolverines and a -2 with the Deadeyes. It'd be which one do you want to make better or worse, or make better?
Is there any other opportunity to use coin, or is this like kind of it?
I would say there probably isn't going to be. Well, there might be if you want to bribe someone. That would be the way to do it, right? You're probably not going to be actually shopping for anything in this session, but yeah, up to you.
Let's just bribe the Wolverines then. Let's thank them for the help.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you have one group that really likes you, and one group that really doesn't like you. Very good.
Yeah. Nicholas said makes it more.
That makes it more dramatic. Yeah.
Let them battle it out. Leave us out of it.
Yeah, that's true. Stick them on each other. There you go. Okay. Lastly, you're gonna choose your favorite contact as a crew, right? So you guys have your individual friends and allies. But this would be who is the contact. This may be a person who depends on who it is, but it might be a person who give you leads, someone who helps you sell things, whatever. So you have Carol Ironsides, a magistrate, a Whitney, a marshal. A marshal would basically be a beat cop. Amelia, a deal broker. Hawksley, a smuggler. Anya, a dilettante. And Marlowe, a gang boss are your options.
I would kind of go with smuggler. He's our supplier.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hawksley.
And as I say that, Liz has smoke going around in front of her camera.
I just blew up my candle.
You're not smoking light.
No.
Very good.
It was light, though. It was a candle. It was a candle.
Oh, boy.
So she was smoking light.
Yeah, of course.
No,
cool,
she
awesome.
snuffed out the light, which created smoke.
Okay, so how about we go and take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll jump into the score and do a job. Sound good, everybody? All right, stick around. We got more Blades in the Dark right after this. We'll be right back.